This is kvci.blogspot.com, clip 2. These were my actual words before Valdosta City Council with Mayor Gale, Councilman Wright, Councilman Yopes, Councilman White, City Manager Hanson, Councilman Norton, Councilman Payton, Councilman Carroll, and Councilman Vickers. They heard this presentation and people attending, but the beef of what I said, the people in Valdosta and surrounding counties knows absolutely nothing about what you are listening to. They said a few words, but the beef of what I said were ignored. As you will read beneath this clip, I'm going to show you what was said and what was written concerning the story, or the truths rather, that dealt with human life. This was at the last council meeting in the state of Georgia. Listen, please. Listen.
First of all, I want to say that people that are here tonight, some of you may be on the council, when you hear Mr. Robinson get up and he talk the way that he does, you may not understand what he's been working on for over 3 years.
I say that because Mr. Robinson is working with Section 3. He filed a complaint with the federal government about blacks and poor whites not receiving the federal funds that comes into the city on various projects. And this is why I made the statement about asking them to understand the pain of Mr. Robinson and his passion. The man has esophageal cancer, and he is sick and tired of seeing the monies go to the large corporation, the large contractors, while the little men don't get any. And I told him I don't believe anything gonna come from the Justice Department. I really don't. After all, we have told the Justice Department about the jails, the school system, and still nothing happens. I'll continue now.
That we felt because we know the history of this city for the 153 years of being in existence. And blacks and poor whites have been pretty locked out of the system. This is not what I came up here for, but I want you to know that unless the news media, television, newspapers, and radio begin to talk about these things that we are working on, then when people come before the council and they sit in the audience, they really don't know what's going on. And that's what we feel is going to happen. When we filed a complaint with the federal government concerning the situation, I doubt there are citizens that the people in this community know anything about for the most part, because we don't have a news media outlet that will do what I think needs to be done.
And I don't. We don't have it. And I'm not the only one, and I'm not crazy, I'm not deaf, I'm not blind, and I'm not crazy. It's just that simple. It just ain't here. And people know it. They'll talk about it when they go in the bathroom to take a dump. People here are scared as hell. And could nobody have made it clearer than former chairman of the Lowndes County Board of Commissioners, Miss Pendleton. Miss Pendleton told me the real deal. She's a white Caucasian lady. She told me about the fear that is prevalent in this community. And then the professors, Matthew Richards and others, the NAACP and the SCLC, they got together and made a video called A Chorus of Fear. All you have to do is Google A Chorus of Fear and see what we go through here. And yet nothing is changing for the most part in terms of open government. Listen, please.
For 153 years, there was an 1860 chart out there which refers to blacks in the same paragraph as hogs, dogs. I won't go into that.
Now, I won't go into it, but let me give it to you here. That charter said in Section 100, Article 100, Section 11, I had it removed. I saw it, and I appealed unto City Council to remove it. Mayor John Freddy and other Caucasians on the council was reluctant about removing it, and some of them voted against it. But I knew my first address before the council, I told them that it would be removed. I just knew it because it was the right thing to do. Let me say here's what it said. The mayor and council shall pass all proper and necessary laws and ordinances for the control of slaves and persons of color, and to suppress and abate all nuisances arriving from hogs, dogs, or other livestock straying at large in Valdosta. That's what it said. And finally, in 2004, it was reluctantly removed by a vote down party lines. That means blacks voted for it to come down and whites wanted to keep it. And it just shows and now it seems like that mentality is still alive and well. The charter was taken down, but that mentality still exists in the hearts of many. Listen, please.
But it seems like little is changing, although we know a lot is changing. We have had 30 deaths in Valdosta and Laos County Jail from 94 to 2009. I would never stop complaining about that.
Now, why would not the citizens of Valdosta want to know? Why would that not be newsworthy? I'm just asking a question. I believe with dealing with human life, that any person that has any level of humanity to man would want the general public to know, so some possible change could come. After all, that started in 1988. In fact, Judge Hugh Lawson ruled in court order civil action number 89-11 that the 105 violation that he discovered be fixed. Yet, when we wrote the district attorney, David Miller, clerk of the court, and the sheriff department, received no reply. So until this day, we don't know. Oh, by the way, the judge himself, Judge Hugh Lawson, wrote him too, and nobody knows who complied with that court order. And at that time, when he ordered on that court, that was June of '97. We only had 3 deaths, and since then, now we up to 30, and possibly more. A lot of inmates say more. So it's obvious that somebody did not follow up to make the corrections to try and put a stop to the loss of human life. And yet, in a metro city, at a public meeting in the state of Georgia, and with people in the audience, and with elected officials, and with all kinds of television stations, and nothing got outside the 4 walls of City Hall. I'll let you figure out why.
Stop talking about that. Because I serve this country, I just believe that one day somebody's going to come in here and going to do what needs to be done. People may not call y'all like they call me. Willie James Williams' daughter, a few hours ago, talked to me. I got people that come.
Willie James Williams' daughter was at the library, Woodrow Wilson, and she asked me, George, what's being done to stop the jail deaths out there? I don't want nobody else to go through what I've gone through, the loss of my father, Willie James Williams. And do you think we'll ever get justice in that case? I talked to Willie James Williams' brother and his children, and they asked me, his son, we need to get that case reopened. So it's not like people are just sleeping. People know what the real deal is here. And I'm a firm believer that one day, if there's a God anywhere, you get the message.
I don't want to get in because I got too much. Let me put it like this. On the 8th of May, 2010, there was a alleged death in the jail. Somebody that served in city government knows about it. A young man was paid with approximately 3,000 some votes.
Look, now I just made a statement that concerns the elected officials and those in government. It seems to me that if nothing else, they should have been concerned enough to call me and say, George, what's your source of information? Why would you make a statement like that? It seemed like me that a reporter, it seemed like to me that television stations who are concerned about getting the news out, they would come to me and say, excuse me, but where's the source of your information? Can you come up with that individual? Can you give me his phone number? Or are you just getting up here to be in the newspaper? Are you just getting up here to be on TV? Are you just saying this to be on YouTube? Are you just doing it to raise your fame, name to fame? Why did you lie to the people, Brother Rhymes? Or they could ask me, was I lying? Or why did I, not one person, not one was even concerned about. And they decided that it would not be published into the minds, ears, and eyes of the people in South Georgia. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about, you can sit here and talk about laws and we are a nation of laws. The hell we are. The hell we are. And it's time that we as Americans stand up and stop playing games about patriotism and being a Christian or a real Muslim or a real Jew or a real Buddhist. It's all a game. And they're doing it in the name of Jesus. And I think it's time for a change. What about you?
I will leave this with you all, and I hope this becomes a part of public record. Because I got it on video. I interviewed a young man that wanted to clear his conscience. He told me a lot. I got names. I know the time that this is supposed to happen. But I'm going to leave this with the council because somebody in city government knows about it. And we got their name too. But I'm just going to leave it to you like this. The coroner knows about it. The life support that responded to the call of the inmate death know about it. A nurse up there in medical knows about it. We have these names. We got the names. A deputy officer knows about it. And if from 94 to 2009, we lead the state in jail deaths. And from 2009 to present, the county attorney tells us that they are not subject to the Georgia Open Records Act. We really don't know how many deaths have been out in that jail, and nobody's talking about it. I hear a lot of talk since they decided to retire here about a good old boy system. Whether there's death in that jail and nobody knows about it, and if our local newspapers are not reporting it, how do you all feel? Now the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I have people that call me. I'm going to close. I got about 1 minute left.
Let's stop there. Now, I have here in my hand, and by the way, I could have called those people's name. I could have called a person's name on city council who they say knows about the jail death and actually may have went out there to the jail. But this is a document. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. It's amazing, but they sent it to Miss Sarah Crow. And it's handwritten, but it's written very well. And this is the kind of stuff that people turn in to certain people and even some news media outlets, I'm told. But because there are very few people or no one to actually care about the situation, nothing is done. Now, right here and down to the end, this guy talks about the same jail deaths that I just told you about. And he wanted them to look into it. So by the way, I forgot to mention Sarah Crow. Her name was mentioned as well. I forgot, and the guy sent this to the clerk, to the court, to the court, and let's see. And he requested that it be dated and acknowledged, and of course, it was done. It was that, and so I can't understand why, if I was on the council and if somebody brought something like this to me, I would at least call them over and say, you know what, sit down and talk to me, because I want to know. I have children, I have a wife, I have a son, I have a daughter, I have a friend, I have a neighbor that I'm concerned about. And so I want to listen to what you have to say. I want to see if it makes sense. So I just want to see if you crazy as hell. I mean, I would at least do that. By the way, this individual addressed this letter. He also addressed a judge, senior judge. Well, I won't mention. Well, why not? Well, a senior judge. He also addressed this to a senior judge. And whatever come of it, I don't know. But I'm going to continue to do what I do because I believe in this form of government. After all, I served it for 20 years. Let's continue and hear the rest of the story. And these are the pictures that I handed to each council member, showed them that a child could fall into the canal. And well, once again, nobody said nothing. It's like
just the same manner as about the jail. I didn't know nothing about this. I had somebody live in this area. Gave me those pictures and what they were concerned about if their child fall into that canal because there's no guards there. So I went out and took pictures of it. I also talked to the contractor. But I just want you all to know. In this city, we have had a big day for Martin Luther King. I don't give a damn for serving Martin Luther King without some work. I don't give a damn for nobody who sit and talk about having meetings, but yet can't get into the real work for which that man lived, gave his life for, along with many others. What I'm concerned about is what Larry Hanson showed me and emailed me about the railroad tracks being repaired because we brought it before council. And on the first floor of this building, we don't have any...
Hold, got to stop there. I commended Larry Hanson because after 2 years they finally got railroad tracks repaired. And if you go back in my clips or videos, you will see how bad they were. And so I thank them for doing that, you know. But here again, I'm told that I've come up in our political posture and that I want to raise my name to fame and all these things, whatever you want to say. But everything that you've heard thus far, if those problems would not existed, I would look like a complete idiot to stand before city council and bring these up. Now, some say that I should go downstairs and do it without coming before council at a public meeting. And that is true. But I believe that the state of Georgia and this nation stands for open government. And the more things the people know, I think the better our nation will look in the eyes of people around the world. What about you?
Historical buildings, I talked about it over 2 years ago. I really want to see some black buildings, some black schools, or something down at the first floor where they show that he came through Valdosta. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. You welcome.
Now, what that was about is that he hit the gavel pretty hard. There's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that. They give us 5 minutes, but there is also a way to do things I call decently and in order. I have seen other people stand up and I got them recorded because that's what I do. And you'll see people go over the 5 minutes, and I was closing out. He could have been softer about it. That's the new mayor, by the way, too. That's the new mayor, Mayor Gale. And then when I looked at him, I thought he had something to say to me, and then that's when he said thank you, and I just said thank you back. Now that's not nothing ugly, but my thing is that when it's sad that when people stand before the elected officials, it's like they're going up against some enemy or something. We're the ones that voted them in office, number one, and number two, we're the one, the taxpayers, one giving them that little money that they get, and yet they don't even have time. They don't want to listen to us. And it's just amazing here in Valdosta. And then after we stand before like this, and then guess what? Nothing is said about it. Whatever happened at the public meeting is like, unless it's dealing with, well, you know what? Hey, we close this out. You got enough out there to make an analogy of what's going on here in this community. And I thank God for the white right people who come to me, give me much of the information that I have, because a lot of it I wouldn't have without them. I'm thankful for John Quarterman and Gretchen for staying on the case and getting news out that otherwise would be lost forever. And it would give coming generation a distorted view of what Valdosta and Lowndes County and South Georgia in general was all about. This is kvci.blogspot.com, Boston G.B.R. on YouTube, doing what we do because Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Bye-bye. We go.